have a look and see. Recording in progress. So I don't know whether your computers are asking you for permission or not.
This meeting, oh yes, it is recorded. Yes,
just
okay.
make things a little bit more complicated. Okay, so let's take a different stretch. We're going to have a lie down. While you fly in, lie down. Arms slightly out, heels as wide as the mat, and let's start to open and maneuver the hips. Turn your hips side to side. And just enjoy this stretch. If you want to apply a little bit more strict Pilates technique, both shoulders on the floor and the ribs are tucked in. Now, the way I've been getting people to get those tummy muscles around the ribs, the rectus abdominis six-pack area, is to have the head lifted for a few reps, and you can feel the tummy muscles tuck in. And then if you keep those tummy muscles tucked in as you try and lie down, that will help remind you how to switch those muscles on. But you might want to just do the moves if you're tired and not bother applying some Pilates. Turn, squeeze the bum, push the hips out. Let's go for 4 more twists. Exhale, twist and turn. Inhale, reset. Exhale, twist and turn. So the theme, Bonnie, is après-ski, but the exercises, not the drink. Well, it's up to you if you want a gin and tonic while doing this. It might be more fun. There's our 4 more. So we're going to release the hips again. We're going to give the knees a hug, maybe push the back into the floor. And then if you stretch out one arm and leg, just like we just did, exhale, stretch, inhale, reset, change sides, please. Now, the more you can do this in imprint with the spine, the better. We're trying to open out the shoulders and the front of the hip. And this first section needs to be nice, I've set it up to be a nice gentle version of these stretches. So you can hug the knees. If you need something even more gently, you're in your setup position, more gentle, should I say. And then you stretch one leg out here. So tighten the bottom. And the more you can get contact to the floor, the better. So I'm contacting back of the ribs to really get the Pilates ab switched on. Back of the arm, back of the leg. Let's go for 4 more. Don't want you to get bored. Really pushing the back of the arm here. Now, shoulder mobility needs working on after a hard day's skiing as well. So take the arms wide. Take a little time to wriggle the shoulder blades together, pin them to floor, push the back of the ribs to floor, and let's explore range of movement. If you can, we're going to cross one ankle on the thigh into a 4 sign, making the number 4. Toes pull towards the shin to protect the knee pushes away, and we're going to turn the hips from side to side without the shoulders leaving the floor. So your bent knee, the one that's pushing out to the side, is trying to push away from you. Julie, I'm just checking in that you feel okay with this, because I know before you had your break from the gym, this wasn't a great position for you.
No, it's
you're okay.
I'm okay. I can feel it on this hip.
So
right.
You can squeeze the bottom and the lower tummy, or failing that, cross the legs in a different manner. So instead of out wide, wrap the legs round like you need the loo. And if any of you want to try either or and see which gives you the best stretch, because it depends where you're tight. So you might try. So if we go for 10 more twists, 5 more each way, turning side to side. If you put your knee out to side, does that give you the best stretch? Or do you want to wrap the legs around each other super tight and go side to side? Remember, we want the abs, the ribs not to flare. So we might lift the head, tuck the ribs in for a couple of reps to get a feel for it. And then keep the ribs tucked in as the head lowers down. So let's try those on the other side. I've got 1 more each way to go. Cross the legs the other way. Another great thing about this is it's just a good one to do for both daily life and sports. So we need to be able to twist freely to avoid injury. So I've changed legs. exploring how my body feels with this twist side to side. Feeling the shoulders still, pushing the knee out.
I think I'm traveling. Oh, sorry. Oh,
Are you traveling down your mat?
yeah, I was.
You won't be by yourself.
Hold on. I've just got to take this silly call. I'm sorry.
Oh, don't worry. She's a busy lady. Side to side. And then if you wanted to try some of the different leg position, we wrap the legs round in a much more closed position for the hip. See whether your hip likes that. So while we're staying with some really nice gentle stretches, let's transition to open closed door, but we want to stretch the front of the hip and the quads with this. So starting, as I said, very nice and gentle, and then we might work a little harder shortly. But push the knees backwards so you're lying in a straight line. So if I show you this angle on, it should make a bit more sense. Normally we lie with the knees forward, but we want to straighten out the body down to the knees. So my knees are bent, and I'm pushing the hips as far forward as I can.
Sorry.
Hips are tucked in, and then we're going to try this open closed door here. Take your time, explore how it feels. I'm going to show you a different setup for those of you who have got some punishment or want a deeper stretch. But if this is tight on your knees and back, you don't want to try anything deeper than this. So stay with this if you want. If you want to work a little harder and your body allows, this top leg goes even further back and we secure it with the bottom leg. So you can either have the heel against the thigh or even wrap around to pull the knee towards floor. Now you've got to check in with the knee joint. You've got to very carefully push the hips forward and keep the ribs tucked in and just explore how it feels to open closed door. Do you need a cushion underhead? Do you need to go to a normal open closed door position? Let's go for 6 more. Exhale, twist. As I open, I'm imagining there's a thread attached to my back shoulder and top elbow, and it's pulling that back shoulder back and then pulling that top shoulder, elbow back as well. Not sure how I'm doing it, not flaring the ribs. I haven't got anyone correcting me. I'll see when I watch this video back how I've done. 3 more. Keep going. I'm just going to change my setup. Keep going, keep going. Go back to this one. That one was strong today. Last one. And then before we do the other side, I'm going to get you to lie down on your tummy if you can. If it doesn't go into back. I'm going to stretch out the front of the tummy once again with 2 options. Option 1, single leg kick. Option 2 is a rotation work. Now it's always the same feel for the core. The tummy hollows, the bottom and thighs squeeze, so your hips are pushing into floor. So if you need a cushion under tummy or hips or pelvis, do so. So bend one knee, squeeze an imaginary balloon behind it 3 times, lower down, change sides. Squeeze the thighs, squeeze the bottom, hollow the tummy. Stay with this one if you want. I'm going to do just a couple more before I demo the next one, because this is really nice. And it's good to do this if your knee's a bit tight, to just start to loosen up the front of the knee and stay with that loosening before you up the move. If you are ready to up the move, the elbows stay still, bend one leg, hold it bent, turn your hips on the side. Try not to arch your back any more than necessary, and you're looking for a stretch through the front of the body. Lower down, change sides. So we've got to squeeze the abs, brace the tummy muscles in order to stop the back from doing too much work. Just landing my foot in my plants. Anyone else having a technical problem? Let's go for 8 more. Exhale, rotate. Try and keep the elbows still. The elbows are just softly glued to one spot of the floor and move slowly and under control. Search for your maximum comfortable stretch. Now I'm saying comfortable stretch because there's one client in particular that I'm going to send this video to. And he, because I'm sorry, it tends to be a long thing, he likes to stretch until something nearly snaps. Please don't snap anything. Please go gentle. Enjoy it. If stretching and enjoyment tends to be two words you put together in the same sentence. Two more. Twist and breathe out. Inhale, reset. Exhale, twist. This is really nice for me today because I did far too many classes yesterday. Now I've got open closed door on the other side. So if you want to flow, you're going to turn your back to me. If you want to put your head on the other end of the mat and face the camera, you can. But what's your setup? Normal position, or are you joining me by pushing the knees back, squeezing the bottom, and trying to get the body as straight as you can? You must be careful that it doesn't upset the back. Do you need a cushion under head, or are you okay with your shoulders with this movement? So really trying to tuck the ribs in. Push the pelvis forward, almost like a pelvic thrust. And this is a great release for all those muscles that tighten. So when we're seeing the QL, quadriceps, the iliopsoas muscles tighten, there are big muscles through the lower back, some of which are touched through the pelvis into the front of the thigh. They all get worked very, very hard. But hopefully getting a quad stretch as well. So we've got 6 more. Are you staying with this setup, or did you want to get all fancy? Slide your bottom leg forward and wrap on over. Oh, that's far on this side. I didn't think I'd be able to. Very tight from yesterday. I had to slow right down. I might not get 6 done. Moving carefully, just listening to the feedback of my body. Incredibly deep stretch. Just one more for me. That'll take me to 3. You were aiming for 6. When you've done your 6, I'm going to ask you to lie on your back. We'll do one more après-ski stretch. And then if you want to work a little harder, you can. Great place to call it a day after this exercise if you just wanted a short stretch. So we want to get the arms moving. Can you take a little bit of time? You lie on your back, you're going to reach both arms overhead, but open wide with these shoulders. Push them back into the mat. Imagine you've got a tangerine under each armpit and try not to create any tangerine juice. Don't oversquish. Sorry about my illustrations. Exhale, take the arms overhead, stretch to where you can, really imprint to floor and reset. So you can stay with this, or you can join me. I'm going to add some hip bridges. I recommend a cushion between the thighs for this one, or a yoga block between the thighs, just to get the pelvis nicely working as well. So I'm going to lift the hips up, really get my maximum height. We've really stretched out the front of the hips in all the moves we've done so far, so you should get a good height. Push the shoulders into the floor as the arms move. Keep the arms pushed to floor and lower down one vertebrae at a time, as long as it doesn't take you into back pain. And then repeat. Whoa, yeah, definitely got some tightness in my back today. Arms reset. We've got push the feet into floor, squeeze the bottom, push the knees away. Arms come overhead, but you're trying to press the shoulders into floor as you go. Exhale, lower down one vertebra at a time. Wonderful, reset. Let's go for 8 of these. I don't think you can ever do enough of these. And if there was just one exercise that you did at the end of a day scheme, this is probably the one that I'd get you to do. Exhale, lower. I'm trying to really isolate one vertebra at a time. Just a bit of extra tightness in my lower back. Oh, that's quite interesting. Keep going. Everything's connected. So when I turn my head one way, I get such a different sensation, and then turn the other. So if you want to work the whole spine, because we often forget about the muscles of the neck, you might turn the head to the right as you perform one rep, and then you might turn the head to the left as you perform the other. Just make sure the chin's tucked in and the back of the neck's long. Lift, lower down, and it's just getting a little easier to keep the back of the shoulders to floor, and then so much tighter looking in this direction. I'm going to go for 2 more. I don't think I've done my full 8. Feel free to do your full 8, especially if you're calling it a day with this exercise. Turn my head. For me, turn my head the other way. Oh, what do you think about the head turn? Did anyone try it? Bring the back of the arms to the floor. Reset. Okay, next section. So you can call it a day. Not you guys who are with me live, you've got to carry on. We're going to go into glutes. So I'm going to give you a few different challenges for the glutes as we go through a little circuit. So a side kick to start with. If you know which side of your waist is creating a hip hitch, we're going to try and correct it in this position. So for example, I know that this hip is higher than the other one, so I'm just going to push that down and pull my waist away from the floor. If you're not sure, lift the waist away from the floor on this side and the other side. Push your bottom straight, bent leg into the floor, stretch your legs, side kick. 3 pushes forward. I'm trying not to arch my back too much, or not at all, and then 3 pushes backwards. Squeeze and squeeze and squeeze. 1 of 6. Try and get a stretch anywhere in the back of the body, especially if you're leading with the heel, point the toe, and you might get a gentle stretch in the hip. More importantly, you want the bottom to squeeze to drag that leg back 3 times. Exhale, push forward. 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. 3 more. Now you don't have to go at this pace, you're welcome to go double time. You'll see dancers do this 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. But I don't feel in control. I wouldn't be able to balance a glass of whatever I'm having for my après-ski on my hip and not spin it. And the idea is if you want to isolate the hamstring, which is worth doing, your hips stay very still and vertically stacked. I think this is my number 6. We're going to go into clams, and I'm going to give you quite a few options because I watched an old video and I forgot about some of these lovely options. So clam level number 1, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Make sure you're not rolling backwards, so you might want to pop your hand on your lower back and you'll be able to feel if you're rolling backwards here. Ooh, that's gone straight into glute today. And if you're weak in your glute, you'll be pushing into this foot. You're resting the feet together, but you're not particularly pushing into it. Level 2 is feet off floor. This might feel a bit easier. Waist lifted, 3 and 2 and 1. It's worth doing all the levels because they'll all target the glutes in a slightly different way. So let's do 3 reps here. 3 and 2 and 1. Next level will be a side plank.
Excuse me.
She's got a Mia moment, I think. Now I'm going to stay in the work. I'm going to keep my feet lifted for a moment. I'm going to prop up on my elbow, but I'm keeping my bottom on the floor. If it's too strong, stay lying down. Look up for your shoulder. Lift the chest. Now I've gone straight to the intermediate level with my feet off the floor. And lower. Waist and chest as high as you can. If it's a little bit too much, put the foot down on the floor. 2 and 1. 1 more level if you want it. We've got 3 reps left. You can carry on. You can go down a level. You can do open closed door. We come up onto the knees. Diamond clam. Feet on or off the floor. You choose. 3 and 2 and hold. And lower. So we want that lovely stiffness through the core now. 3 and 2 and hold. This is quite advanced. Absolutely fine to have your bottom on the floor. 3 and 2 and hold. Lower all the way down onto your side. 1 more challenge for the muscles of the bottom, and that's to lift the leg off the floor. So this top leg straightens out, and it's going to come as far forward as you can. until you feel a gentle stretch. Just check that you haven't curled up into a ball. So you want your back to feel quite straight and your top hip to push away so that the kneecap faces the ceiling. So your back is straight and you've pushed your top hip away. The waist will have lifted a little bit. And we're going to just try and wave your foot at me. So my hand is your foot, just in case you, can you see my foot? Yeah, it's just on the screen, it's waving. Now that swivel is coming from the thigh bone in the hip. Want to work a little bit harder? Have the leg off the floor and swivel. 6 and 5. Just a gentle stretch. 4. I'm swiveling and pushing that hip away. And 3 and 2 and 1. Land the foot down, open, close door in this position. So if you can grab hold of your leg with the bottom arm, grab it. You don't have to. And if you really don't get on with it, 2 bent legs. If you can, L shape. Open and close. If you're going for the L shape and your foot's sliding along the floor quite nicely, you might want to do this. Push your foot as far forward as you can, as if you're rolling onto your tummy. You'll get a lovely inner thigh stretch, and then pull your leg backwards as you roll onto your back, and you get a good hip stretch. So typically I've got someone at the door. So fortunately you're in a nice mood, so keep going. Might be some workmen in the background. I've told them not to laugh at me. Fortunately, they can see me and not you. Okay, so I hope we've had a little bit of glute workout there. We'll come up to a seated position. Take the feet wide, so it roughly mat width apart, 1.5 times shoulder width. Level 1. Before we do the other side, we're going to turn the hips, allow the bottom to come off the floor if you want, and reset. Are you all getting on okay? You've gone very quiet.
Yeah, okay.
You're not too overwhelmed. If you want to work harder to take the hands off the floor, the challenge is, I've got a soft fist, just helps the obliques fire up a little bit more. You will walk forward on your mat. I'm just sliding all over the place.
I can't get over on this side.
Oh, goodness sake.
One side will be really tough. Maybe put your hands on the floor. If you can't get over on one side, just go to where you can, and we'll maybe target hips a little later on, or in our next session, to be able to get you a little bit more on that side. Yeah, that side's going very nicely. I can see Judy,
And then I just stop at this.
I've reached the end of my mat already.
We'll work on that. Now we're running out of mat, so I suggest we lie down on the other side and we go through our side plank and clam marathon. So let's take a lie down. Same thing, if you know which side your hip is pitched, then feel free to align. So I know that this hip is my higher hip, so actually I'm going to push my waist to floor. If you're not sure, pull your waist up off the floor, because we'll do that same on each side. So I'm pushing my waist down to the floor. So we've got side kick. We're going to stretch the leg. We're going to push forward for 3 and 2 and 1. Point the toe, bring the leg back. 3 and 2 and 1. I'm trying to keep my hip very, very still. So as I've said, if you want to rest something on your hip to raise the ante and see how still your hip is going. Fine.
Oh, for goodness sake, I don't know what's going on.
You've got trouble as well. Stop as straightforward. Now our focus is how out can the knee be? How tightly can you squeeze the thigh? Hopefully the back's pretty straight. I'm very much focusing on this drag backwards to teach the muscles of the bum to fire up. 3 and 2, 1. And 2, 1. Let's go for 3 more. I think that'll take me to 8. 8-ish. Good stretch in the back of the leg. Try and get the bottom to work and maybe stretch the front of the hip.
I think that way.
Is everything all right, Deborah?
My phone was just making the most. Someone tried to leave a message and then the phone went ballistic.
Oh. Technology, hey?
It's
This is
never
our
been.
last one, and then we're going on to clams. If you want to do a few extra, Deborah, feel free. Or just, you've had a mini workout running around. So for the clams, we're doing 3 lots, and then we might up it, and we might up it, and we might up it. 4 levels. Or you can stay, or you can rest. So this hip is very fatigued on me. You can see it's not lifting anywhere near as high as the other side. And this is because I've launched into a load of exercise and not done my own. I've not practiced what I preach. I've not done my own physio. So I'm going to do some after this. 3 and 2 and 1. Do you want to sit this, or do you want to have a go at feet off the floor? Sometimes it's a brain gym. Looks relatively simple, but actually getting yourself in this position is something different. I've got my hands round about the hip or my thumb in my lower back, just to make sure I'm not rolling backwards. Now, if your glute doesn't work so well, or your hips not so good, you might feel the work on the inner thigh or here. So you need to really push, almost like a little thrust of the pelvis to make the bottom work a bit harder, because we want the bottom to work. Stay with this level or prop up in side plank. I'm keeping my feet off the floor, but you don't need to. 3 reps of 3. Waist and shoulder and chest as high as you can from the floor to keep the shoulder nice and protected, and then thrust my hips to try and get the bottom working harder, and nothing or not a lot in the thighs. 1 more level after this. 3 reps left if you're still going. Go down a level, rest if you want, or come up onto the knees. Lift the hips as high as you can. And once again, thrust the hips. I'm trying to have both feet off the floor. It won't do it on this side, and there's a challenge. 3 and 2. 1 more. And then we've got 1 more challenge if you can bear it. If you remember, we lie down, we're going to wave with our foot. So, bottom leg is straight if you can, but bend it if you must. Top leg is definitely straight. I've still got the same setup. I know that this lower hip is normally hitched, so I'm pushing waist to floor. And then my knees locked out, my toes are pulled towards me, and I'm going to wave at you with my foot. Heel is on the floor to start with. I'm trying to push this top hip away. And you can keep the heel on the floor. If you're going for the challenge, we've got, was it 6 or 8? I can't remember, I think it was 6. Turn the kneecap to ceiling. Wow, that hip's very, very tight today. I am moving, but not a lot. Exhale, open, inhale, reset. Exhale, open, inhale, reset. 1 more, unless you're going for 8. I might go for 8 just to make sure. And then we've got open, closed door. So, 2 straight legs if you can. Grab the leg and open out. And what's really great is if you could grab the foot. I didn't coach this on the other side. Now, grabbing the foot isn't going to work for everyone. I've got a short body and quite long arms, which means it's a bit easier to get to my leg. But holding a tea towel or a resistance band and hooking it around the foot can help. Because when you kick that foot into something, it really helps with the move. And then do you remember the really mobile version was push your foot forward if it can slide along the floor, or you happen to have sliders, and you can roll onto tummy. Pull the foot back. Try and get back shoulder to floor. Wow, surprise, surprise, struggling to get my back shoulder to floor on my tighter side. and open. Remember, you've got the different arm patterns, which once again, I didn't coach on the other side. You can try and keep the fingertips on the floor as you circle around the head. Let's go for 3 more. Exhale, open, starting to loosen up. The benefit of holding the leg or guiding the leg the way I am is what happens is the foot slides down the body and you lose out on the stretch, and the guiding the leg will keep the foot fairly close to the head. Fairly, I don't mean, unless you're a dancer. That's one. It's definitely loosened out my hip a little bit. Let's take a seat and do those hip rotations that we just did. Whether working on this side has helped to loosen out the hips, we'll find out. So, knees are bent. I'm going to work this way on just because it gives me a really good line up. But you can turn, keep facing me if you want. Pull the toes up, so you've got dorsiflexion, check the knee. Turning side to side with a straight back, or challenging your body with the arms off the floor. Turn, squeeze tummy and bottom and hips, and turn. See where you can get to. Anything any looser? They weren't designed to loosen the hips, particularly Judy, but we might have accidentally done so. No, not wanting to go that way still.
Just want to go that way.
As long as you're not forcing it, that's the most important thing. Now I'm trying to get my shoulder blades close together because that's another thing. If anybody's carried on with this and they've been skiing and decided to do some work with me, you'll be wanting to round because that's a traditional position. Undo it, get those arms back. Let's go for 4 more twists. Rest the core. I don't know where I'm going. I have to reset, else I'll be off screen and in the garden. Just checking. Last couple. Really great work. Okay, so let's finish off with some abs. 10 minutes of abs. I like to go for abs with everything we do. So we're going to have a go at a little bit of a stretch of the hamstring at the same time. We're going to lift up one leg and try a single leg rocker. So the legs as straight as you can. It's sometimes quite nice to get one of those booty bands or a towel over your foot to increase the stretch, because grabbing your foot and doing it is tough. We're going to roll either halfway back or all the way back. Whoa, and maybe get up again, who knows? Well done, Emma. Top of the class for Emma, she's got band handy. If you get back and you're thinking, I can't get back up, use this spare leg and kick yourself back up. The momentum will help. Let's go for up to 8. The higher up the leg you grab, the tougher it is. The more you keep your stationary leg on the floor, the tougher it is. I'm trying to move under control. I'm trying to get the whole of the back to be relatively equally rounded. I think I'm grabbing that tight that I might have bruises on my leg. Last one, and then we'll change sides. Of course, if you've been counting, stick with your number. So I'm just checking I'm not overly rounding and lifting the chin. We want that wonderful alignment, a small round, but a small tuck in of the chin, like you've got a pair of socks under your chin. I mean, really, if you needed all the props I've come up with, you'd have some socks to go under your chin, some things to go under your armpits, the winning lottery ticket to go under your bottom. I normally have some kind of props. So we're looking for control with this movement, however that looks, because control means that you're using all the weaker parts of your abs. So you know when you do this and you think, oh, that bit's really tough, that's because you're going through a weak part of your abs. Or when you go back, this part of the move that you lose control a bit and move faster, that's the weaker part of your abs as well. I'll pull more if you're still going, or even yourself out if you've been counting. Balance is very important. So seeing we've got a ski theme, we're going to roll up to seated and we'll work on balance. Did this combination in class yesterday. boat pose if you can. So toes can be on the floor if you're needing a bit of kindness, or you can have the feet off the floor. Now, we're going to try and move the pelvis and the back. So you're going to very carefully try and straighten your back, particularly the lower back, and then arch it. So you'll feel yourself roll on the pelvis to a little bit more arch of your back, and then flat back. The best version you can. If it's very strong, rest your toes on the floor gently. And I don't know if you can see with my toes down, you can perhaps see if I move back a bit so I've got more lightness behind me. I'm going from this arched position to a lot more flat. My back has rounded, it's just my bottom is in the way. It makes it look like it hasn't. And it's the lower back we're focusing on. Don't worry too much about the upper back. You can grab something between the inner thighs to assist. 2 more if you can. Judder, 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 judder. And then we've got 1 more seated if you can, but you're welcome to lie down if you want. So the seated version is a gentle roll back, grabbing something in between the inner thighs, and then we're going to reach as far behind you as you can in one direction, turn your chest, and as far behind you in the other direction as you can, turn your chest. The lying down version would be arm circles, trying to touch the floor, and if you wanted to work the abs, you can have the feet in the air. So if you've had enough of sitting, then work on your shoulder mobility and ab strength lying down. If not, carry on here for, let's try 8 more reps. So maybe grabbing something between the inner thighs. I'm looking around, all I've got here to grab are some Halloween balloons. I'm ready for the trick-or-treaters. Try not to let the stress go into the shoulders. Stop if it's going into back. As I've said, squeezing something between the inner thighs really helps. And really rotating the spine. When you squeeze the shoulder blades together, last one on each side, by the way, when you squeeze the shoulder blades together as you rotate, it straightens the back and you get more movement. When you breathe out and you twist, you get more movement, lowering them down to the floor. Take the feet as wide as the mat, please. Back should be nicely released just in case that did go into the floor. And then we're going to take a little bit of release and mobility. So we're going to reach down one side of the leg, 3 and 2 and 1. Circle the arms right overhead, so right on my side. I'm going to carefully roll on my back or head on yoga block. Try and turn my ribs right on my side, both sides of bottom on the floor, and then reach towards the other foot. 3 and 2 and 1. Stay on your side and roll through. 3, so wonderful stretch. You don't have to lift head off floor. It's advisable to keep the chin very slightly tucked in or retracted. Let's go for 6 more reps. That's 3 more to each side. 3, 2, and 1. That lovely twist. Trying to keep both sides of the bottom on the floor. I keep forgetting. 3 and 2 and 1. 4 more. 3, 2 and 1. You're welcome to stop early, of course. And 3, 2, 1. It's 1 each way. And then we've not done much release for the calves, and we are working the abs, but we need flexible calves. So we're going to bring the arms down by the side. On our single leg scoop, you can have both feet on floor. I'm going to work in tabletop. And we're thinking about the footwork on this. So stretch the foot out and then the leg out and lead with the heel as you lift. 3 and 2 and 1. Lower your straight leg down. Keep pushing into your heel so you get a calf stretch. Go back to your setup position and change sides. Push through the heel, lead with the heel, lock out at the knee, keep the bottom on the floor. Lower back down. Shoulder blades fairly close together. 2 of 8. Exhale. Push into that heel, pull the toes towards you. Stretch. Body slipper. Stretch. If you want to work a little harder, we're going to lift the upper body and reach. Like you're trying to get your knee to your nose. Lower down, head, reset leg. Upper body lift, stretch the leg, push into the heel. 3, 2, 1. Lower down, reset. One more on each side if you're still going. Exhale, stretch, and 3, 2, 1. Last one here. Gentle release of the calves, and then 2 very gentle releases. Back to where we started, heels wide. Let's turn side to side just to open out the front of the hips. Just 10 of these. Exhale, twist, squeeze your bottom, keep the ribs tucked in. Exhale, twist, squeeze your bottom and keep the ribs tucked in. Turn the hips on the side, shoulders staying on the floor. Maybe chin tucks in and turns the opposite way. Head turns the opposite way to knees. If you want to go right the way through the cervical spine, you just got to keep the chin tucked in. Last couple for me. And then a nerve floss is really worth doing, just in case any muscle tension is coming from tightness in your nervous system. So let's have a seat. So brace the core. Hands need to stay relatively still, so either on the floor or on the thighs. I do this a lot. Point the toes down as far as you can, nod the head. Slouch, we've got 8 of these, and you're looking for your body's natural stop, not a stretch. It's not a stretch. Toes up, chest and chin up. I'm going to exhale, chin down, toes down, slouch. Look for your body's natural stop. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, chin down, toes down, slouch. Inhale, lift up. Exhale. Back very rounded. Inhale, lift up. The most important, well, 2 important bits. One is to be very relaxed as you do your last 3, ideally all the way through. But also the head goes down as the toes go down. The head goes up as the toes go up. These moving roughly at the same time, or one after the other, is quite important to get the flossing action through the nerve. And that's really loosened me up. Let's go for one more. As I said, I personally love this move. I hope you enjoy this one. Well, in line with après ski, always makes me feel like I've had a glass of wine. How are you guys doing? Session done. Hopefully you're feeling okay. Let me stop this recording. Remember how to do it. There we go. Well done, guys.